Welcome to Beers and Brawls, show where my guests and I drink beer and talk all things wrestling. Thank you for joining me on Beers and Brawls. I'm your host Jared, and as you can see, we've got a bit of a new studio, new setup, so let's see how this goes. But we've got a guest making a reappearance here on the show. The last time he was on was in season 2, so way back at the start, but he's back with a brand new attitude. He's since become a 3-time ACW Evolve champion and is quickly rising up the ranks in Riot City. He is Kit. Kit, welcome back, I should say.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
No, thank you. Obviously, we'll state the obvious straight away. There is a big difference.
Yeah.
With the look. What's going on with that?
Oh, it was something that when I took time away from wrestling, I was very self-reflective. I knew I needed to change something because I just kind of lost that passion and spark for wrestling. Like, I don't really know, or I didn't know at the time what happened. Then I kind of took inventory, made a lot of changes, and just really took a hard look at myself and realized that I was kind of a big factor in myself losing my spark. I didn't realize how bad my attitude kind of in and around wrestling was. And it was just sort of like, it's a quote that I kind of came to this realization that I've used a whole lot since I came back. Some people want it, and some people want to talk about wanting it. Mm-hmm. And looking back on my time as the Condor under the mask, I loved to talk about how much I wanted it, but the work didn't back that up.
Yeah.
Originally, I kind of just felt this massive wrestling burnout, and I took what was meant to be 6 months away to kind of recenter myself and just kind of find myself. And in that time, kind of had this mentality of I'm going to go away and I'm going to get jacked and I'm going to come back better than ever. And about 4 or 5 months in, I bulged a disc in my spine.
Oh, shit.
At, of all places, at a trampoline place. So yeah, I took a bad bounce and bulged a disc, and that put me out for another 6 months plus. And in that time, if you've ever had a bad injury that affects your quality of life just generally, you learn to how important things like posture and all that sort of things are, and how learning proper form with your exercises, how important that is. Yeah. And sort of with that mentality of I'm just going to focus on my gym, not thinking about wrestling so much, sort of helped me gain this confidence in my body when it came to my body dysmorphia, but also gained me this confidence to kind of get my itch back for wrestling.
Yeah.
So that when I came back, mentally and physically, I was a changed man.
Yeah.
And when I felt that it was time to come back, I'd put on quite a bit of size, easily about 10, 15 kilos of muscle, I reckon it would have been from when I was. When I felt that I was ready to come back, I just had this different attitude of just appreciation for wrestling and just the want to be part of the process, not just to get the results and the glory that come with it.
Yeah.
And with that, I just kind of felt like coming back, I didn't want to be who I was when I left. I needed something that kind of showed everyone that the person coming back is not the person who left. But at the same time, I didn't want to ignore that past, because without that past, I wouldn't have found my current.
Yeah.
So it sort of was always like, this is a time for me to evolve and become a better version of myself. And I think this is a version that doesn't need to, for lack of a better term, hide behind a mask. Because when I first got into wrestling, that mask was an invaluable machine to helped me deal with body dysmorphia that I had about myself, to not worry about how I was being perceived. The mask was a good barrier for that. Now that I was in this more confident place in my life, I didn't need that crutch anymore. And I was ready to, you know, I didn't feel like I needed to just come out and use exposition to tell everyone that, but I felt like it was something that I needed to do for myself, and I think that that went a long way in how much more naturally I felt when I got back in the ring, and how much more naturally it felt to wrestle and to talk on a microphone, because I didn't feel like everything was playing with such a safety net with a harness on. Now it was just genuine.
Yeah, for sure. And you can definitely, like as you said, you definitely can see you put on the size, and you've come back with an amazing attitude. Like, you have made splashes all over the companies in South Australia at the moment. You know, evidence right here by this big huge belt. 3-time champion of that, and Riot City at the moment, like climbing up the ranks.
It's incredible.
You know, a massive show that we're obviously going to talk about soon when we get to some photos. But you've got big opportunities coming in Riot City. What sort of was the catalyst to light that fire, to get that, just what sort of gave you that kick up the butt to really, apart from obviously the injury, but was there anything else that sort of really lit that fire to come in firing as you have?
I think it's just, the biggest part, I think, is remembering why I was there. I think it would be insane for anyone who is involved in the wrestling world to say that they do it for convenience, that they do it because any aspect of it is easy. No part of wrestling is convenient or easy. You do it because you love it, because it's your passion. And I think taking that time away, once I got to the point that wrestling felt like a chore, which it never should. Wrestling should always be the thing that you would rather be doing more than anything in the world. And as soon as that stops being the case, you're doing a disservice to not only yourself, but to the people who are coming to see you. And I think taking that time away, but staying very ingrained, still taking in the wrestling scene, still watching what's going on, still keeping up to date with the product both locally and internationally, kind of gave me that itch to eventually, inevitably, you go, God, I miss it. God, I want to do that again. I want to feel that adrenaline rush. I want to get those creative juices flowing just in the creative process of how you approach wrestling. You really do get back what you put in. And by the time I was ready to come back, that fire was just, it was a ball of energy ready to explode that I couldn't wait to start mapping out how I was going to do it. So I think it really was just a case of that like change of attitude. Distance does make the heart grow fonder a lot of the time, and wrestling, you know, wrestling is my one true passion above all else, and I needed to take the time away to remind myself how important it was to me. And when I came back, it was firing on all cylinders. Nothing was going to stop me. You could put brick walls in front of me and I was going to power through them, because wrestling was everything. And since then, that mentality, no matter what I'm doing in wrestling, has maintained. And as a result of that change of an attitude, that healthier attitude, I've achieved so much more in this little time that I've been back as Kit, compared to the years that I had as Condor.
No, absolutely, man, and it's awesome to see, and it's been a great great to see you, obviously, from Condor up until now. Like, the rise has been amazing. So I'm going to get into some questions now. Like, some of them are from same as what we had back in, you know, the first interview, but obviously your answers have probably changed, and we'll have a few more for you as well. But first question is, who is Kit? What is Kit? What is he all about?
I think Kit is, in essence, I think it is a difficult thing for me to define because it's not something that I've ever really necessarily written out.
Yeah.
But I think it is the version of yourself that when you are a person who does suffer from things like body dysmorphia and things like depression, self-hatred, the person that your brain can make you feel like you are.
Yeah.
I think Kit is a person who lacks responsibility, who doesn't acknowledge his own shortcomings and can't just admit that they came up short and we'll get them next time. There's no such thing as that with Kit. It's everything is all or nothing, and any shortcoming is always someone else's fault. And I think there's an aspect of most people's lives where it's a pretty knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people to kind of have something go wrong, and the instant reaction is look for someone to blame. It couldn't possibly be my fault. It's got to be someone else's. Before, the more mature thing, the more grown-up thing, is to take accountability for your own actions and strive to be better and improve so that this doesn't happen again. That's not who Kit is. Kit is a man who has a massive chip on his shoulder, always feels inferior, and his only goal, his only interest is showing people that he is better than what he feels that he is to himself. Kit never feels good enough, and he's going to make that everyone else's problem.
Nice. I like that answer. That's really good, man. Since ditching the mask, what has been your favourite match as Kit?
Hands down, it was my match with Zach Sabbath at ACW. I believe it was Eminence. For the Evolve Championship when I lost it the first time. In my first defense for that belt. But it was by far my favorite match that I've ever had. I still go back and I rewatch that match as a fan, not as an ego trip to myself or anything like that. It is genuinely, there are so few matches that I can go back and rewatch of my own work and not kind of just get that, get really hard on myself, really critical of myself because I'm analysing my work. I can just watch this and go, God, I love this match.
Enjoy it,
So that is absolutely always going to be the match that I go back to and say that is my favourite match I've ever had.
And that's on YouTube?
Yes.
There you go, guys. Get on YouTube, look up Zach Sabbath vs Kit, ACW. Current dream opponent in Australian wrestling?
Australian wrestling. Well, I've definitely got my local. My local would definitely be if I ever had a shot at a one-on-one with Chris Basso. That would be my, as I'm sure a lot of people at Riot would share the sentiment.
Everyone in Australia, I think.
Yes. And I think Australia-wide, in recent years, my eyes have been open to so many more companies, so many more workers all around Australia that list of kind of who would I like to work just kind of keeps broadening and keeps instead of there being one, I've got categories of people that I'd love to work. Brooksy is one that stands out to me that ever since I first started training at Riot, he's always been a man who's been coming into RCW and calling it his home. He's come into ACW and called it his home. And ever since then, he's stayed so consistent that would be something that would just be incredible for me to have a chance to work alongside this person who has always been presented to me as this across Australia, this pillar of Australian wrestling. I think that would be my number one answer. I have a couple of others of just people that I've met in passing, that I would love to get the opportunity to get in the ring with.
Yeah.
Just for my own personal, like, as a result of talking with some of these people or seeing some of their work, where I just go, I would love to see how I could interact with their characters. People like Xander Sullivan of the Third Eye, I would love to have the opportunity to work with him, especially coming off of all of this, this big conspiracy arc that I've had at ACW with Max Calamity and Nick Savage, working with the Third Eye and their very tinfoil hat approach to the conspiracy theory. I would love to see how we would work together in a capacity like that. But we are just so spoiled for talent in Australia.
For sure. And I think if you keep going the way you're going with your rise through the companies, I don't see why an Adam Brooks match wouldn't happen. And if we ever see Chris Basso again, why a Chris Basso match wouldn't happen. So especially the way you're going at Riot City, and if you're got such a big match coming up with big name players, you're just all getting into the water for all these big name players as we go along. So I don't think that's far off happening if we ever see him again, which is the main thing. But
it's always good to have that dream match, that one. I'd put Chris Basso up there with Big Brody Marshall if he ever wanted to come back. Oh, I would love to get in the ring with him. But it's good to have those like dream matches. There's the obtainable dream matches and there's the unobtainable dream matches, and it's good to have a couple of those sprinkled in just to be like, oh, what if?
Well, the way Brody Marshall's looking at the moment, shout out. He could step in there any day, I think, and I think he's on a lot of people's lists. What are your current goals in wrestling?
At the moment, especially this year, coming into next year, it's to begin spreading my name, my brand, my image interstate. That's definitely the next big step. At this stage, I've only really branched interstate through EPW very briefly last year when they ran their Fat Brew shows around the WWE weekend. Getting to step into the ring with a few interstate names that I'd only really seen on social media or heard chatter about. Now, having met all of those people and making those connections and just getting to really see the standard of talent that exists in the pool outside of South Australia, I'm very, very keen to branch out and start spreading that brand now that I'm re-established in the Adelaide scene a lot more.
For sure. No, that's good, man. I like that. What's a match type that you'd never want to compete in?
Death matches. I'm assuming that's a common answer.
Yes.
I don't know, man. It's just I don't know that I would like. I had my hardcore 4-way dance at ACW a little while ago, and that was the first time that I've been involved in barbed wire, thumbtacks, things like that. I don't know that I've got it in me to do light tubes and staple guns. I just don't think that I have that in me.
No, that's fair. What's a match type that you would love to compete in that you haven't done yet?
I have always wanted to do a proper steel cage match. I think that would be an incredible kind of, like, you don't see it as much on the independent circuit as what you do, obviously, in the big leagues. Something like that would be incredible. Either that or I've only ever had one ladder match, and that was a Key to the City match with 6 competitors. I would love the opportunity to have a fully fledged one-on-one ladder match. I think it's a wildly underused match stipulation to just have a standard one-on-one match in a ladder match. I just don't see it a whole lot, and I love the dynamic of it. I love the just the storytelling of it.
No, that's awesome. No, you are right for that. You don't see many one-on-one ladder matches. In your opinion, what is Australian wrestling missing today, if anything?
missing? See, I think we're so lucky for where we are. I think the only thing from my perspective that I could say that I see personally, I think the only thing that Australia is missing is eyes.
Yeah.
Because we have so many ears on us. I think we are maybe one of the most, we are one of the more up and coming countries that if you go most places, people will say that they've heard about Australia, they've heard how good our standard is, or they'll see a Rhea Ripley, Bronson Reed, Grayson Waller, the Iconics, all of these people making this name for themselves internationally, and it drives them to go, what is in the water in Australia?
Yeah.
So they've all heard of us. The only thing that we're missing is the eyes.
Yeah.
And I think once we've got the eyes, I think we have the real opportunity to be the next Japan scene, the next UK scene, which are booming independents that are drawing incredible numbers. And I think if we got those same eyes on us that we have the ears, I don't think anyone could stop the Australian scene from just taking over the independent circuit.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you, man. That's a great answer. Hopefully that will happen sooner than later, and a lot of people deserve a big opportunity here in Australia, so to go worldwide. Last question I'm going to hit you with. Obviously, you are an ACW champion, but Riot City has always been your home promotion. Excluding yourself, who are your top 3 wrestlers currently in Riot City? Now, this can be your favourite, it can be the best, whatever in your opinion. I know there's stacks and stacks of talent, but your sort of top 3 that you love to watch.
I'm going to try and be as subjective as I can. I always think wrestling is such an opinionated industry, so I try and be did I say subjective or objective? I'm going to try and take my personal kind of likes and dislikes out of it and just say who I believe is objectively my favourite 3. And I would say you'd be remiss to not put Matt Hayter on there. I think everything that he does top to bottom in terms of his in-ring work, his promo quality, his presentation is just what most wrestlers should strive to be.
Yeah. It's almost a record. It took us this long to mention his name.
Yeah. I'm sure he will love it. His ears are probably burning right now. Gosh, after that, I think in a similar vein, Dean Brady, for very different reasons, but for very similar categories.
Yeah.
I think he's quite literally a person that I can look at as when I first decided I wanted to get more size on me, I wanted to look better. He was a person that I could look to and go, that is the Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And that is the Mount Everest that I want to surpass.
Yeah.
And that is a good motivator, because if you've ever seen anything about Dean Brady, he is not a man who is ever going to let someone overtake him. So having that kind of a goal to chase is something that's always going to keep me hungry. And I watched him ever since I first came into Riot, and I always went, how has this man not been RCW champion?
Yeah.
And it took him so long to finally reach it. And I think now that he is kind of at the top of the mountain in probably SA in general, I think it's something that is long overdue.
Yeah.
And for the third spot, I really don't want to say Smash. I really don't want to say Smash, but I think ever since before I came back, he was all that I heard anyone talking about. I didn't meet him until I came back I didn't meet him until I came back to Riot. Not even when I came back to wrestling at ACW.
Yeah,
So
right, yeah.
it took a long time of me hearing about this guy who was on the up, who had very similar motivations to me, who had very similar goals and a very similar energy to what I had when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then finally getting to meet him and kind of be in this position where it was really unavoidable that everything that has been my relationship with Smash since I've come back to RCW has really been a game of one-upsmanship. It really has been one of us is going to make it to the moon.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to send you to the moon as long as it's behind me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just that constant frenemy situation of like, you are a person who is not going to let anyone get in your way, and neither am I.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about this? And I think that has led to us just constantly going at each other to never let the other one of us feel like we've ever got the edge over the other one. And that is an incredible motivator, unlike any other, when you have someone that just will not let you beat them, but you will not let them beat you. And just in general, he's a dude who's been paying his dues and working hard for a long, long time. So, you know, it's hard to not respect the work ethic and respect the hustle.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think when you're looking at a greater RCW landscape, my top three, I think if you needed to kind of center the company around three dudes that are going to like cover you in all aspects, I think across Matt Hayter, Dean Brady, and Smash, I think you've got a solid three that are going to be they're going to be massive names Australia wide very, very soon, more so than what they already are now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, that's no, I agree with you there. Great answers. And obviously Smash, he's almost a little you with the mask coming through and all that, the high flyer. So
got a lot of comparisons.
I definitely see that. I can see why. But no, thank you for going through those questions and answering them, mate. It's been awesome to see, obviously, what you've done so far and what you've got planned for the future. But we are going to fire up some photos now, and looking from when we had you back in season 2 up until now, and just see what's changed.
Perfect.
All right, Kit, got the photos here. Now, obviously, you can't see the computer, but you're going to see them on the screen as always. So we're not changing up anything there, but we're going to start with photo number 1.
Ooh.
Now, we have gone back to the mask days because that's where we sort of left off in the last episode. But we're going to the fringe of it.
Yes. So I had a very, very interesting relationship with the Adelaide Fringe with Riot. This would have been the last time that I wrestled at the Fringe while under the Condor mask. And I think it went with sort of the attitude that I had at the time, you know, like wrestling is just so much like different energy depending on event. And I had such a sour energy towards Fringe when I was in this more, I don't know if the right word is arrogant, but when I had this more, like I was a dumb young kid. And I just didn't ever really feel like Fringe gave me the spotlight that I wanted. I felt like there were certain people that were spotlighted and it was never me. I never felt like I left Fringe being like I gained anything.
Yeah.
And it really did sour me on, you know, performing at the Fringe. And like the juxtaposition of this being the last Fringe appearance of me still wearing the mask versus the fringe that we just had and my return to the fringe, completely different attitude, and it was worlds different.
Yeah.
I look back on this and I can see the dumb, arrogant kid that thought he deserved the world, and I now can look at what I'm doing now and see that I am having so much more fun.
Yeah.
And I have such a better attitude. And as I think I've said earlier, now that I have a better attitude, I'm seeing way more results than what I ever did back at this time. So
100%. Yeah.
I don't regret this time in my career. It was a very necessary learning experience, but remember where you came from, but never go back. And that's kind of where I'm at with the Condor and looking at something like this.
Nice. Good advice.
Oh gosh, I think this might have been my first main show appearance for an RCW show. And the only reason that I can remember that is because, as you might be able to tell, I'm wearing a Pariah shirt. And that was, I believe, an 8-man tag with the Pariah and Satacone against, oh jeez, it's testing my memory so much. I'm pretty sure it was Dean Brady, Kurt Barron, Steve Miller, and gosh, my memory fades on who the other one
That was
was.
pretty good to see all those names.
Yeah, very bare-armed, skinny, bare-armed as in much less tattoos.
Yeah.
Just very like, oh, I just look at this now and I go, this is a kid. This is a kid, which is where, like, originally the kind of name Kit was a bit of a play on kid. Like, I was always seen as very young, very like youthful.
Yeah.
And looking at a lot of, like, especially masked wrestlers in history, you know, Pegasus Kid, 123 Kid, Kid Dynamite. It was a very popular naming convention that originally it was just sort of like, I don't want to be known as a kid forever, because then you get shoeboxed into always being the kid. So I really had to find a way to not be shoehorned as a kid forever. And that's sort of like using Kit to be known was something that, it was sort of something that no one has ever been able to maintain being the kid forever. I don't think I could be where I am now and still be, if I were Kid Condor. I don't think that ever would have worked. But just looking at this, I can see the kid in this Condor. Whew. This was my last match for RCW before I essentially like took a step away from Riot. It was the start of the slow burn into my mental health break from wrestling. This match was such a, looking back on it, I wish I could have appreciated the opportunity of what it was more. Not the opportunity for the Strength Cup, but the opportunity for, like, you know, you've got Chris Basso and James Cray. These were guys who were, when I first came in, already on shows. Like, especially Cree being like a, you know, former RCW champion. You had Down Under, who came in a little bit, maybe like 6 months to a year after I started training, he came in. So we were kind of a very similar kind of time. And then having Caden Cornell, who was someone who was a lot newer. So seeing this mash of generations of wrestlers, and the concept of me now having this match, I would be able to appreciate it so very much. But at the time, it was just the real crossroads of my just arrogant, dumb kid mentality of I didn't appreciate the opportunities that I was being given.
Yeah.
This was a very interesting match. It was, yeah, I can't say that multi-man matches are my favourite type of match. I've always been I've been the person who's always been in multi-man matches, but very outspoken in how I do not enjoy them as much as I'd just love to get in the ring one-on-one with someone.
Yeah.
But still to this day, it's the closest that I've ever been to being able to get in the ring with Chris Basso, which was, something that I instantly remember this from all these years later. I remember that because it's the one time that I actually got in the ring with Chris Basso and got the opportunity to kind of just feel what it feels to be in the ring with someone like him.
Yeah. I think a big theme of this podcast already is the appreciation of what you have. You're very appreciative now of what you had back then, but you weren't at the time. So I think that's good advice for anyone who's listening and watching to appreciate what you have at the moment, because you never know what can happen, what can change.
Absolutely.
And just be thankful for the moment you're in, especially in wrestling. It's a hard industry, and if you feel like you're at the bottom, just stick it out, appreciate it, and you never know where you can end up. And try an example right here.
And just remember that those mistakes are also extremely necessary. I don't want to forget or undo any of the bad choices that I've made in the past, because without those choices, I wouldn't have gotten where I am. So I think making the mistakes are so crucial to learn from.
Yeah, 100%. That's great.
Cool. And then this is my very last match in wrestling before I took my time away. My very last match as the Condor, James Cruiser. What a guy. He's another one that now he's taken a step away from wrestling. He's moved on and done some incredible stuff. He got into powerlifting and I've kept in touch with him a little bit since this time.
Yeah.
But this was a really kind of once again, just another, it's really hard to not just, I need to take the time now to be grateful for the opportunities that I had, if nothing else, for the fact that I didn't appreciate it then. And the fact that we were put in a position to kind of have this feud that was deserving of being a no disqualification ACW championship match. It was a great match where we just threw everything at it. We, really just threw caution to the wind and gave it our all. And I think it might have been a little bit of that kind of mentality of I knew that I was burning to the end of my candle. So I didn't know for sure how long I was going to be gone. I didn't know anything could happen. I didn't know if I was ever going to come back. There was always that possibility. So if this was going to be the last thing that anyone sees of Kit Condor, I needed to make sure that it was a worthy last impression. And while it was the last that anyone saw of Kit Condor, this is truly where, as I so eloquently put when I first returned, Kit came back, but the Condor's dead. And this was truly the match that killed the Condor, and I think it was a very fitting send-off with me handcuffed behind my back and then just taking strikes to the head, like a real classic Mankind and The Rock, This was an iconic match for me. This was my first set of promo photos when I first came back. I made I had an interesting decision to make when I decided it was time for me to come back to wrestling. And I felt as though RCW has always been my home. It was where I got my start, and even the idea of getting my foot in the door at ACW originally was because RCW afforded me that opportunity. But when I sort of started going to ACW and sort of started getting ingrained in the culture there and just became part of their family, when it came time to come back, I just kind of had this, I guess, feeling that what I needed for myself when I came back was to come back to ACW as an ACW wrestler before I ventured back to RCW.
Okay, yeah.
The goal was always to get back to RCW, but I felt that I would have been doing myself a disservice to jump straight back into RCW. I just didn't think the move was right for me at the time.
Okay.
I felt that I needed to take my own journey, and that as long as I stayed true to what I felt was the right move for my career, that everything would work out in the end. And it did take me a good, it would have been a good 6 to 9 months before I came back to Riot.
Yeah.
But all this time later, I still think that that was the best thing that I could have done, because I got to really find who Kit was, and I really got to experiment and take risks. And I don't think I would have had the same opportunity to take those same risks and discover myself like I did if I had gone straight back to Riot. So then when I did, I knew who I was. I was confident with who I was, what I was capable of, and that allowed me to take my first step in the door at Riot, firing on all cylinders from day one. And looking at this, like, I still get to now look at this photo and go, this is now the benchmark that I want to look back at in whatever, 5 years time. And I want to look back on this photo the same way that I look back on that photo of me at Fringe. I want to look back at that and go, God, I've put on size since this photo. And
get any bigger, Jesus.
Yeah, well, it's always the goal. Like, worst decision I ever made was discovering bodybuilding content, because if my body dysmorphia wasn't already horribly unobtainable then, by God, as soon as you discover Ronnie Coleman, you've got no chance of ever being satisfied.
Get on the old, Ronnie J, getting C-bum these days. Oh, man.
It's an endless pit, and it's fantastic. Yes, this is the night that I came back to wrestling and controversially decided that I didn't really like the idea of coming back and doing doing the whole, I'm going to come back and pull the hood over everyone's eyes and say I'm the same Condor that I was, just to then go, actually, no. This was something that I needed to do for myself to show that I was not the same person. And the idea of coming back and wrestling the same style that I did as Condor just didn't really feel like that was me anymore. I felt like it was a very flashy, high energy style to wrestle, but it just didn't really feel like the man who was coming back, the more confident version of myself, the slightly larger version of myself. I really wanted this to be a more authentic version of myself, where I wasn't playing a character. I was just going out there and wrestling. And it almost felt like this just needed to happen. And I think it was a terrific way to do that. I still have gone back and rewatched this segment and gone, I don't think I would have done it any other way, which, you know, as a person who creates art, and I do think that wrestling is a very unique form of art, I think it's very difficult to watch anything that you've produced and go, I am absolutely 100% happy with how that turned out. I wouldn't change a thing. I think there's always going to be something you can change.
Yeah.
But I think watching this back, I'm very happy with this being the way that some of the audience was seeing me presented for the first time.
Yeah.
For the newer fans, and this is a fitting payoff to everything that I had done before, and a fitting evolution of that character that these fans are already familiar with, that maybe didn't think they were ever going to see again.
Yeah.
So I really think this was the best way that I could have burst back onto the scene and show from the first moment, this is what I'm all about, and this is what you can expect.
Yeah. Nice. I like that. It's good.
Yeah, this is the moments, well, you can't even call it moments before disaster. This is sort of moments in between disaster. Right after I turned on Malachi Slick, and I've spoken to a lot of people since this moment where they sort of said, I was there watching this, and I really thought we were about to get like a heel kick Condor still with the mask. Because no one knew that this was going to happen. I kept this very close to my chest because I had always been a person who, I think the entire time, my first run as Condor, I was adamant that I had no interest in ever taking off the mask. Like, I made a strong point to anyone that knew me that it wasn't for me. I wanted to be in a mask for my whole career. So the idea of this, a lot of people close to me, it blew their minds that it's just sort of like, oh my god, Kit Condor is back. And oh my god, immediately, no more mask. And it was just such a... It felt like I'd been wrestling in weighted training gear my entire career, and the minute that I took the mask off, I took off the weighted gear. And I felt light, and I felt free, and it just honestly felt right.
Nice. Good, man. Good. Again.
Yep, this was my first match as Kit. My first opportunity to go out in front of a crowd and feel what it felt to walk out to a room full of people booing you, who just hate you. And that was something that I never got to experience. Like, it's all well and good to go, I'm ready for this. This is, I've got the experience of wrestling for years and years. I've been in front of so many different types of crowds. I've gotten so many, varying levels of reaction, but they've always been on the positive end of the spectrum. It's very telling how a person can react to the first time stepping in front of a crowd after years of people cheering them, or maybe just not making a whole lot of noise. Very different stepping out to boos and I hate you and things like that. And I think I just felt very lucky that when that moment finally came, it just felt natural to me. It just felt right.
Nice.
It really did help me find my groove, and having that interaction with the audience and having that banter and the dialogue really helped me flesh out the person, the wrestler that I wanted to be. And this was a very interesting first step into that, and a real firm opportunity to really just step in the ring for the first time with this new gear, with this new presentation, the long hair, no mask, and just kind of, again, much like the debut, just sort of go, this is what I'm all about. It doesn't matter if this is the first time you're seeing me, or if you saw everything that I did for all of those years previous. I'm wrestling a completely different style now, but there's still nuggets of things where you can go, oh, he used to do that. He used to kind of move like this, or use this move, and kind of updating that to be like, but this is not the same person.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Good explanation. I like it.
Cool.
Sid Barker.
This was a series of 3 matches. I cannot remember for the life of me which number this particular one was, but it was a run of 3 shows that we wrestled. I believe I won the second match by disqualification.
Yep.
But Sid beat me the other 2 times, I believe. But this is by far the moment that I credit. This run of these 3 shows are what I credit taking myself to the next level.
Yep.
Sid really changed my perspective on everything I thought I knew about how to be a heel, how to command an audience and get the reaction that I want out of them.
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to, just really like be the person that every single person in the audience just wants to see get their ass handed to them. I relish being in that position now. The more that people hate me, the better time that I'm having. And these matches with Sid really helped me ascend to just another realm of comfortability in myself and comfortability in like just being Kit. So these, I'm so grateful to Sid and to ACW for putting me in this position, because this was, I think, right off the back of my return and match with Malachi Slick, and it may not have been the very next match, but it was certainly within the next 2 or 3 matches. So this is still a very freshly returned Kit, and to be in such a high profile story that got like hardcore matches out of it and got like, I think 1, maybe 2 of them might have been a main event. Like, it's an incredible position to be trusted with being put in. And with someone like Sid, who is another huge name across Australia, this was a special series of matches for me and for my career.
That's good, man. No, Sid's a good guy.
Yeah, this is... I loved this photo. It still to this day bothers me that I didn't get a full bridge onto the head. I'm such a... I'm still very bad to this day, for the idea of nitpicking all of my own work. And even if I look at something and go, I love the arch on this suplex, on this German suplex, but it still just bothers me so much that I didn't bridge onto the head. And it's just one of those things that you can just never quite get over in wrestling, that if you do something with 90% like
well, 9 out of
efficiency,
10 people can't do that for a start.
Yeah.
Talking about going onto your head. So.
But yes, this was part of that series of matches with Sid, and gosh, as good as he looked walking away from it, I like to think that even in defeat, I walked away looking terrific from that, because this was really what cemented me as being a top level heel in the company. Like, it got me so much hatred and got so many eyes on me that I didn't have before. And yeah, he was such a good opponent to be across the ring from, because we just went to war. We just hit each other so hard, and you never knew what to expect next, because both of us are, regardless of what we commonly do, we are both very capable of doing just about anything. So, I would love to run it back with Sid again now, being this far on, and just really get to compare where I am now to where I was then.
Yeah, No, that's a good idea. Definitely.
Ooh, this would have been my. I reckon this is my most recent set of photos, I reckon. I only question it because I didn't think I'd posted these.
Wow.
Like, you've got some sources.
My team does good work, but no, they all come off of publicly Facebook photos.
Yeah, right.
So unless my team did some digging somewhere else, I don't know, but we'll see.
I have such a bad memory when it comes to just some of the timeline of my career where but no, these the look was definitely by this point a lot more together. The leather jacket has become a bit of a mainstay for me, where it's sort of something that I would have loved to have. I kind of saw this jacket and went, yeah, I want this to be integral to my branding of like, I want this to be my jacket.
Yeah, yeah.
And funnily enough, I really wanted to get it altered and get variants and get like just toy around with it and have it just be this particular jacket is the kit jacket.
Yeah, yeah.
And as soon as I went to go try and just bulk buy the jacket so I could just experiment, it was out of season and retired. So I actually couldn't get that exact jacket anymore. So I have 2 copies of this jacket. I have the one that I still use to this day, and I have a like an op shop aftermarket. It's run down. The leather is not as clean, but that's all that I've been able to source of this particular jacket, and I don't know that it's something that I plan on still using for the forever.
Yeah.
But it is still something that I still look at this jacket and I go, I see a lot of people in jackets. I don't see anyone in this style of jacket.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Good. Ooh, this one, triple threat match with Triton and Magnum. Now, I'm almost certain that this was the match where I... Oh, it must have been, because I don't think I've wrestled Chase Magnum other than in this triple threat. So I won this match with my patented CT knee, the knee that gives you CTE, and I hit Chase Magnum with my knee, and somehow I've kneed him so hard that he has spun around from the momentum of the knee colliding with his head. He has swung and his forearm has swung around and just clocked me with the bone of the forearm right on the just above the eyebrow, right on the skull. I've hit him with this knee, gone, kind of clocked me a little bit there. No matter.
Yeah.
I've pinned him, won the match, and as I'm celebrating, the referee has come over to me and said, "You're bleeding." And I've said, "Nah, it's not me, must be him." And I've literally brushed it off. I was that confident.
Yeah.
I've gone to roll over and push myself up, and as soon as I've bent my head to the ground, I've just seen drops of blood coming from my head, and realised that, he had what I've come to now realise after doing a bit of research. This part of your skull right above your eyebrow is the softest part of your skull, so it's actually the easiest part to just shatter.
Yeah.
So I now have I think most of it's gone now, but there was a very distinct kind of scar just over my eyebrow that people just sort of go, "Oh gosh, how did that happen to you?" And you're like, well, I need someone in the head, and they busted me open as a result of it. So that's always kind of a funny story of how'd you get that scar. Yeah, I won, and I came out bleeding.
A lot of injuries in wrestling just happen from weird moments like that.
Yep.
Just random stuff happens.
Oh, the Juggernaut driver. This was something that I never did as Kit Condor, but during my time away from wrestling, I always made sure to stay very up to date with what was happening in wrestling and different avenues. So everything from RCW and ACW all the way up through TNA, WWE, AEW, just everything. Always have like as many avenues of taking in knowledge as possible, because wrestling has always been, even before I was a wrestler, I was a fan. So it's always been a passion of mine even before I was actually wrestling.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Jordynne Grace doing this on TNA, and I always just went, oh my god, like, that's an incredible move.
Yeah.
And I know that there are other people, like Penta was doing it, like Pentagon Jr. at the time. The Made in Japan. So I just kind of always saw how Jordynne Grace did it and sort of went, gosh, that would be an amazing finisher. And I sort of came back to wrestling and was tossing up between, what am I going to use for my finisher, the Juggernaut Driver or the CT knee? And it sort of became a bit of a, I'll just use both. But the CT knee kind of became a bit of a more, this is the kick them while they're down move. This is the, like, I'm not trying to win the match, I'm trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
Whereas the Juggernaut Driver this is the flashy moment where I'm in control and I get to look everyone in the face and go, it's over, I've won, I've got complete control, and then I just drop them on their head. And it's a very photogenic move, I've found, because I've gotten some of my best photos from, like, my best mid-match photos from me just hoisting people up and dumping them on their heads. And I've yet to find a single person that I haven't been able to hoist up for this move, which has always been a point of pride for me, that when I came back, this was a move that I wouldn't have done as Kit Condor, because I either wouldn't have been able to lift them or it wouldn't have looked impressive.
Yeah.
But when I came back, I went, I just need something with a little bit of oomph that shows that I am strong and that I am trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
And the Juggernaut Driver has just been my favourite since.
That's a good move, man. That's a good move.
Oh, I believe this was a show in December, because this was a Christmas themed show, and this was a gauntlet match where I ran the gauntlet from the beginning. I believe I wrestled through maybe 3 opponents before wrestling Santa Claus as the 4th, who then revealed himself to be Down Under, who was the ACW heavyweight champion at the time, and he then went on to beat me. But this was a real, I'd never done anything like, I don't think I ever wrestled a proper gauntlet match, let alone run the gauntlet before. So this was a real test of, sure, I've wrestled in Rumbles, but in Rumbles you get a lot more of you're generally quite active, and then it's a lot easier to take a breather in a Rumble. You hug the bottom rope and you just kind of find yourself a quiet little corner. In a gauntlet match, you're wrestling a full match. That match ends and you are straight into the second. That match ends, you're straight into the third. That match ends, and I am pretty sure this was a sequence where this must have been third, maybe. I pretty much came in, hooked the Juggernaut immediately, hit it, and won, and I was already seated in the pin, and I remember that pin going to 3, and then just falling backwards and laying on the mat and going, that's it, right? And then going, nope, still got to get back up. And I just remember going, this is a different type of gassing to any other type of wrestling for a long period of time or wrestling back to back to back. Like, this was a real test of my abilities that I was very happy with at the end of it. But a very different type of match than what I'm used to.
Yeah, 100% no. 4 in a row would be a hard one.
Yeah. And this was, I think, the eventual payoff to that gauntlet match. I don't know if it was the next show or potentially the one after. Again, I'm very bad with my timelines. For all I know, this may have been the main of that same show where Down Under came out dressed as Santa Claus and then revealed the ruse and then took off the Santa suit. It may very well have been, because I do believe that our eventual match that this was building to was at the Russian Community Center. So I think this must have been the end of the gauntlet where I was just absolutely fighting for my breath. And I think I can kind of tell because I don't have the usual arch in my back that I would have liked for the German, but we got him there, and that's the important part.
Right. He's a big boy to throw
He's
around.
a big boy to throw around. A new era. This was my first win of this beautiful Evolve Championship that I had chased for so many years through ACW. I had many opportunities at it as the Condor and never quite was able to get my hands on it.
Yep.
And this was the match where I finally did get to win it. Though I didn't end up wrestling Riley. Riley relinquished the belt due to injury before the match, and Joey Triton ended up taking her place, and we fought for the Evolve Championship, which I ended up winning.
Yeah.
And that gave me my first championship ever in wrestling, which meant the absolute world to me. I am very much a believer of it's a little bit of a old wives' tale kind of bad juju kind of thought, but I've always been of the mentality in wrestling, it's very old school, that you don't touch the belt until you've earned it.
Yeah.
I've always been a real stickler for just, it doesn't mean anything, but it means something to me.
Yeah.
I never will touch a championship that I have not earned.
Yeah.
So any time that I ever had a Evolve Championship match, an ACW match, an ACW Heavyweight Championship match, or any championship match I've ever had, I will never touch the belt. If the referee comes up and shows me the belt, I'll hover my hand over it, but I'll never touch it. So quite literally, the moment at the end of this match where I beat Joey Triton and first got handed the belt, that was the first time that I knew what the weight of a championship was in my hands. That's the first time that I'd ever felt the leather of the strap in my hands and physically got to put my hands on it. And it just meant the world to me for this thing that I'd been chasing for so many years, that I put in so much hard work for, that I'd always looked across the ring at, but never laid a hand on. And now I finally get to hold it. It meant the world to me in just this way that the respect that I have for the championship runs so deep, and to the point of this very old school mentality that a lot of people don't have anymore. And I have communicated this sentiment that I have. And people have told me, oh, no one does that anymore. That's not a thing anymore. And I go, that's cool. It's not for you. It's for me. Exactly. And this is how I feel. This is how I respect my wrestling. I respect the championship. I respect the ring. I respect all of it by paying it the respect back that I don't lay my hand on it until I've earned it, because that then means that moment when you do get to finally grab it, it means everything.
No, 100%, man. No, I can see where you're coming from, and obviously everyone has their own way about it, but I like that mentality. It's really good.
Yep, and this was me winning that belt for the first time. kind of unintentionally. I remember this moment, and I remember feeling the belt in my hands, and then going to leave the ring, but seeing the photographer at ringside, and then just holding up the belt for a nice little photo op. It was completely just. I didn't plan it. I didn't think, oh, you know, it'd look cool. I just kind of did it, and I kind of never really did it again until the moment that I believe I won the Evolve Championship the second time, and somehow, without it being in my head, when I won it the second time and I got handed it, I picked it up and looked immediately at the cameraman, and for some reason the exact same thought just clicked in my head, and I held it up and rested my head against the championship and just stared at the camera.
Yeah.
And it just became this weird little ritual. I can't recall. I'm almost certain that I did it again when I won it this most recent time.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just become this weird little, like, pose that I've kind of come to hit with the belt, where I almost just, like, squeeze it against my face. Like an obnoxious selfie you take with your partner, where you're, like, squeezed into a photo booth and you press cheeks against each other. Just one of those, like, real weird, like, kind of cringy photos. It's just sort of become that thing of, like, holding the belt up close to me and just being like, yes, this.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, and that's the shot we were going for. Oh, but yeah. Zach, this was the match that I mentioned before. This is my favourite match that I have had in my entire wrestling career, and I don't think that it's close. I love this match. We went everywhere. We did just about everything, and we really got to just, like, kind of. There were things in this match where I remember thinking midway through, there's a moment where I know a lot of people talk about moments when they've had catastrophic injuries in wrestling, or something's gone catastrophically wrong.
Yeah.
And I've heard those stories of being like, time just kind of stood still for a moment, and you had this moment of reflection where you can go, oh no. And I had that reaction about twice. I think at least twice, maybe 3 times in this match, I had a moment where I went, well, nothing I can do here except for grit my teeth and hope for the best. I know I took a Death Valley driver on the apron, and I was a little bit like, okay. And there was also a moment where I got, I think it was a half and half release German suplex, and I just remember being thrown backwards and falling towards my head, and I knew that I wasn't going to land on my back or shoulders, and I knew I wasn't going to make it to my stomach. I just knew that I was somewhere in the realm of landing on my head, and just in that moment I just felt weightless, and like everything just slowed right down, and I just kind of hoped for the best, and luckily I still managed to come out of that with a fully operational neck. But this was, yes, Zach ended up winning the Evolve Championship from me, unfortunately, on this night, and then that built to the eventual hardcore 4-way between myself, James Cray, Zach Sabbath, and Havoc, where we had all kind of won and lost the championship within one show. No one was able to successfully defend it.
Yeah.
I eventually won that match, which gave me my second Evolve title run, which was immediately ended minutes later by Mr. Cliff cashing in his Rise to Glory briefcase and ending my second run in only minutes. But yeah, it...
Mr. Cliff, eh?
Yep. Yep.
Alright. Boom.
Oh, this is, yes, the same match with Zach hitting that very nice Juggernaut driver. I have since made a bit of a... I'm working around with my video editing and kind of trying to throw together a bit of a video of some of my highlights of moves that I have hit, and
yeah.
just some really flashy sequences to kind of showcase some of my work.
Yeah.
And I realized while putting together this highlight reel, I had to go through and find the moves that looked the best, that I had the best footage of.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to not just make all of them from this particular match, because there were definitely a few moments in this that just had that real oomph factor that it's just really hard to get with some matches.
We could just make a match highlight, like just from that one match.
Yeah.
Just make the highlight package and send it out as the Zach versus Kit,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah. I'm desperate to get another match with Zach after this and just really tear the house down all over again. Hopefully with a different result this time, with me walking away with the championship still.
Yeah, for sure. Need that. Bit of mic work.
Yes, this is the Russian Community Center, and this, at first I thought this was the show where the Heat were running rampant and in control of everything, but now I'm not so sure, because I haven't had a whole lot of experience in just going out on a show with a microphone and that being what I do on a show. I'm very used to, if I have a microphone, it's usually leading into a match or coming out of a match.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, that being this version of Kit as opposed to the Condor wasn't super great at talking on a microphone, and I think that comes with a lot of confidence stuff. But now, if you hand me a microphone, I am so much more comfortable just walking out in front of a crowd, and anything that goes wrong, I can work with it. I've had segments where the microphone has cut out on me and died, and I've been left standing in the middle of the ring going, well, I've still got more to say, and I don't have a microphone, but I've gotten a lot more confident at projecting my voice, and I think I actually projected my voice loud enough by just yelling what I was going to say. Enough that the roaming cameras were able to pick up the audio well enough, which I've seen definitely a few shows where people are less confident with projecting their voice, and nothing gets picked up by the microphone. And I've watched that segment back where the microphone cut out on me, and you can still hear it like I'm mic'd up. I'm like, wow, I can be a bit loud at times if I want to be. This is my first match back at RCW, and what a return to the company after, I think it was, gosh, it must have been at least about 3 years maybe? 2 to 3 years. And I know that when I first came back, I still had this just hungry mentality that I wanted to give it everything. I wanted to go to the top, and I wanted to earn my way fighting to the top. This mentality was changed in me, and I was just ready to show everyone how big of a deal I could be. And I know that the company had spoken to me about, we could just chuck you out in a match and just have it just be a match. But we really want something special for you. And I remember it went like months where I went, I'm ready to go. Can we do something? And I just kept hearing, we just need to find the right thing. And it was eventually, I don't even think I got told that this was happening. I just saw this go out on social media that this was the match, and I looked at it and I went, oh my god, we are gonna have some fun. And boy did we have some fun. We went out there, and I don't think I've ever gotten so much praise for one of my matches in my whole career than for this match. Obviously this being a nice little foreshadowing for the match that I've got coming up on July 11th. This match, just adding Matt Hayter to the mix. So
what could go wrong there?
What could possibly go wrong? Yes, and this, this is back at Riot. This is actually one of the first kind of. I think this must have been from the match with Braxton and Smash, because I remember posting this photo to kind of signify Kit is back and I'm about to make everything about me.
Yeah.
And I remember having to go like, I'm not pulling up this photo and going, the green, not really my brand. How do I make it purple? And I remember Googling like, how do I like video edit? How do I like color bucket change a color on a photo? And I had to do some like real research into. I was never good at editing, and I had to really learn some stuff, which I have since like put a lot more effort into like trying to learn things like video editing and photo editing. But this I thought made for such a nice like turning the green purple for Kit and kind of just branding that everything was going to turn purple and that would be the signal that Kit is here.
You didn't say that. I thought it was just the lights.
Yeah, I did have a few people say that.
I thought it was just the lighting, purple lighting, so there you go. Didn't even reckon that was edited.
Yeah.
Good one. EBW, like you mentioned.
This was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had in wrestling. Going over like half of Australian wrestling was in Perth that weekend for WWE being in town, and there was just wrestling galore. EPW being the prominent school and company in Perth, putting on these shows at the Fat Brew Brewery, and just sort of like really making it a hot pot of some of these massive names that I had heard of so much, but I had never actually met. And getting to meet some of these people that I hadn't seen since I was a rookie, that I remember coming to Riot when I was either just about to debut or had just debuted. Some people that I had seen in passing as they'd come through ACW and through RCW later in my career, and just getting to chat with some of these people, some of these names, and just the connections that I made with these people, getting to wrestle in front of a new crowd that had never seen me, and really getting to see how does your work stand up if no one in the room knows who you are. How does your character translate? And I think probably the best example of that was I was wrestling in a 4-way on one of these shows, and as the second person made their entrance, I had an AV guy run out the back to me as I'm about to walk out and goes, "We don't have your music or your video." I'm like, "I've been here for 3 days. What?" And I just kind of went, "It's okay, just play anything, it's fine." Next person goes out and they're like, "All right, you're up next. I've had to just throw something together." I'm like, that's fine. It's fine, man. Whatever. I'll make it work. I come out and just go, "We'll make the best of it." I burst out of the curtain, and about 2 seconds later, the audio glitches and the music just cuts. Doesn't work either. And in this moment, I've just gone, "What do I do?" So I've just turned around and I've gone, "I'm already trying to get this room of people to hate me. Might as well start with the audio-visual guys." So I've just turned to them and I've just gone off and I'm yelling at them, "You guys suck. The worst crew I've ever seen. You can't even get my music right. This is my moment and you're ruining it." I've turned around to the crowd and just gone, "This would have never happened in Adelaide," and just a wave of boos from everyone else, from everyone from Western Australia, just being like, "Boo!" I'm like, "This never would have happened in Adelaide. This is why South Australian wrestling is so much better." And I mean, I definitely walked away from that being like, people hated me and wanted to see me get my ass kicked, and definitely not how I planned on it going, but you work with what you've got, and when something goes wrong, all you can really do is roll with it. And that was that was a little like, you get a bit of cake on your face, and you've got to kind of laugh it off and just go, well, I made something out of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, make do with what you got, man. That's really good. That's showing maturity and smarts right there. Here's that fatal four-way.
Yes, gosh, the things I saw in this match that I've not seen since or like saw before with my own eyes. James Cray taking skewers to the head. That was scary. I know that beforehand I had seen so many skewer spots in the past. And generally you don't, like, from what I've seen, you don't usually bleed a whole lot from skewers. They just kind of stick in your head and that's it. Something about how it got stuck into Cray's head, it got pulled out and he just had a crimson mask immediately. It was insane. I bopped Havoc's face first into a table that had thumbtacks all over it, and he's just come up and just had thumbtacks all through his forehead. We shot Nerf guns that had thumbtacks in the bullets, so they stuck into both Havoc and Zach's back, and they just had like about 3 Nerf bullets each in their back, just stuck with a thumbtack. And yeah, I hit a group of them with a barbed wire 2x4, like just some wild stuff. But I've never really done hardcore matches, so for a lot of us, it was just, well, for me and Cray especially, we kind of just went, this is a moment for us to tick so many things off the bucket list. We might as well go crazy with it. So we had a whole lot of fun with this. I think this would have been, I believe this might have been James Dalton's debut, this match. I'm really like, either I completely remember every detail of a photo where it was taken, what the context was, or I just have no memory of it. But something about this one, I'm pretty sure, because this looks like it was earlier in the day, and I think this might have been, it's definitely a lot brighter. I'm pretty sure this was when I wrestled James Dalton for his debut, which is something that I think as a wrestler, the idea that a company would entrust you with, hey, you're going to wrestle this person in their first ever match. And someone like James Dalton, who was already a, announcer for RCW, he already had this inbuilt, like, fan base to him. Like, they already loved him. So me coming out and getting to be the foil to someone that was already, from their debut, already had such a backing behind him, and the company going, we trust you to be in this position. That meant the world to me. That really showed more than, you can chuck me in a championship match to go, here kid, you've been doing a good job, here's a title match. But like, there really is something else to, we need to put this match on. This person's first ever match, they're going to remember this for their entire life, and we want to put on the best show that we possibly can. Who can we trust to put on a banger of a match? And the fact that they put me in that position, that just meant so much to me to show how far I had come, where I'm now in a position that I remember when I first came up and I had my, first handful of matches, and the people that I wrestled, how I looked up to them, and I went like, you are forever going to be a person that I have this connection to because you gave me my first match, or you gave me one of my first matches. The fact that I now get to be in a position where I can give that to others who are on the debut and who are coming up, that means the world to me.
No, absolutely. It's a very trusted and privileged spot to be put in to give someone their debut match. So, no, I'm glad you really felt honoured by that and took the privilege for that.
Punch Drunk Istria. One of the toughest people I've ever been in the ring with. He really has an intensity about him. I've heard a lot of people say that one of their favourite things about me is my intensity. And I don't think I've ever been across the ring from someone who more just gives me that kind of visceral, like, fight or flight instinct of like I want to step up to you, but I
Could kill me.
I can't read you. I can't, like, there's no, you've got like this, it's almost a poker face crossed with like the crazy eyes,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
where you're like, you just look at someone and you just go, every fiber of my being is saying, do not mess with this man. And yeah, he is an intense wrestler. This is a match that was very. It was a real, like, I had kind of felt at this point in my career, all the people that I was wrestling were generally people that I was very comfortable with, very familiar with.
Yeah.
And this was a real kind of test of my abilities here, where this was a guy from Rampage that I have not had really anything to do with Rampage.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a whole lot of his work outside of what he's done at ACW. And this was a real, like, there's a lot of benefit you can get from knowing your opponent and knowing, like, I need to know how they move, how they wrestle, what their moves are, what they're like, how they just carry themselves.
Yeah.
And this was a match that I didn't really have the benefit of that knowledge going in, and it really did put me on such a back foot like I haven't been in really any other match that I can remember. A match that I do wish I am very hard on myself, but I do feel that this match didn't go as well as I wish it had.
Yeah, okay.
I think what I wanted from the match, I don't think it ended up being.
Yeah.
And I hope that one day I get the opportunity to write that and have another match with Istria where I can hopefully get the match that I think this could have been.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Well, he's ACW heavyweight champion at the moment, so if you get sick of that one, you can chase him for the bigger one, mate. Return to the fringe.
Ooh, the fringe. Now this was a time where I had I was very used to, like, locking in my diet and really switching on for, like, cutting and bulking and whatnot in the pursuit of putting on a bit of size. This fringe cut was insane. Like, I remember it just being like, I felt like I had never dieted in my life because of the degree I was going to with the cut for this fringe, where I just went, I want to already look the best that I've looked in my entire life, and I want people to still turn their heads when they see me at fringe and go, oh my god, you look incredible.
Yeah.
And I think all the photos that came out of this fringe are my, like, favourite photos of my physique that I've maybe ever seen, both from in-ring and also from the promotional kind of, like, things like the flyer drops that we did, and, like, it was just such a, everything was just, I don't think there was a shred of body fat on me.
That's good, man. Really good. Mr. Cliff.
Yep, Mr. Cliff. This is where I won this beautiful championship for the third time that I now still currently hold, and also the culmination of years of storytelling, where the culmination of the match saw Nick Savage outing himself as being in cahoots with me. Me and Nick Savage had been going at each other for so long. Every time anything went wrong for me, it was always this conspiracy that ACW has against me. They didn't want to see me at the top, so they were just conspiring to do anything they could to keep me away from being the top guy in the company.
Yeah.
So anytime I won the Evolve Championship, I would always lose it because they would put me in a position to lose it. Anytime that an official's decision would go against me, it was because I was convinced that there was someone in the referee's ear telling him to make sure that I don't succeed. Come to find out, in the culmination of this, right as it looked like there was about to be some cheating shenanigans going on, Nick Savage came to the rescue only to then turn and hit Mr. Cliff and reveal that there was in fact a conspiracy going on in ACW, but it wasn't against me, it was in cahoots with me. And I don't think I've ever had so many people come up to me with something that's happened in my wrestling career and go, that blew my mind. I had no idea that that was a thing, that was going to happen. It absolutely shocked me. And so many people were just so shocked by that the fact that me and Nick had been talking about this for years, genuinely, like, the cogs had been in motion for so very long, since pretty much when I first came back to ACW as Kit. Yeah, this was a very special match, just for kind of like, this is forever going to be one of those matches that when you're writing out the timeline of the career of Kit, this will forever be a major pillar in that story that is just so important. Yep, and here we are with the ending of the match. Me, Nick, and Max. Yeah, this was a really good moment, just to kind of like, everything fell into place, everything played out perfectly. Years of planning where this wasn't just the night went well. This was something that we had been talking about getting to this moment for years, and you always run that risk of when you talk about something like, how good is it going to be when we eventually do this? When we eventually pull the pin and just do it. What if it goes bad and now the last like years of planning all of a sudden are just like, oh, that's disappointing, that fell a bit flat, or we didn't get the reaction that we wanted. We got everything exactly how we wanted it. Everything went perfectly. Everyone hated it, which is the perfect place to be in. And now the trio of me, Nick, and Max are in a position to just run rampant in ACW and just be this powerhouse and allow me to kind of be the evolved champion that I've always kind of wanted to be since I came back, and really just be the face of the company, be on every single poster, be in these main event matches, and always be like a pillar of ACW. Because at the end of the day, it's always been about being the top of the company and wanting to be the guy that the company can really build the company around. And I think the position that I'm in now, especially with this, has really pushed me to this position.
Absolutely.
Yep, there's me there, just staring at the belt, just like yeah, this is definitely kind of, you know, surreal for me, because it's already like, this is my third run with the championship. The first one I lost on my first defense. The second one only lasted a couple of minutes. But this one really just felt like it was different. It really felt like it was the real first championship run. Like, everything that like the first two runs, while especially like the first one means the world to me, it was also plagued with like Riley relinquishing due to injury, and then I wrestled Triton instead. The second one meant the world to me because it came off of that hardcore 4-way, but then it was sullied by Mr. Cliff. And this third one was just, everything came together perfectly, everything played out perfectly, and since then everything has gone, well, not perfectly, now that obviously originally Nick Savage being the GM and having the GM in my pocket would have been ideal, but now we've got Down Under as the general manager, and that still doesn't really change anything of the agenda. It's still just absolutely going to be the Kit, Nick, and Max show.
Nice, I like it.
Oh yeah, this is my most recent set of photos. So I knew that it was beyond time to get some new photos, because the photos that I've been using on the banners and the match graphics had been years outdated.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I've put on more than enough like size. I've leaned down and my muscles are popping a lot more. I really want to get these photos done. And I remember getting ready for this photo shoot and putting on a layer of oil just to really glisten myself. And I just remember looking in the mirror and every time going, yeah, but I could use a little bit more. Oh, but I'll use a little bit more. Oh, but if I just... And I think I put on about 3 or 4 layers and I walked away from the photo shoot going, I may just have the oiliest photos in Australian wrestling today. And boy, did the light just pop off of like all of my muscles and getting like the shoulders going with the front delt like curve, which has been a real like minor thing that I'm like, oh, I just love how the light bounces off of it. Things like that. Like these photos were just meant to be like obscene levels of oily and obscene levels of just like pumping up all of my muscles.
No, it's a pretty solid photo, man. This is our last one.
This is, yes, July 11th coming up at the Dompolsky Centre.
This will be dropped before that match, so you'll be able to get your tickets ready for that one.
Yes, I'm so incredibly excited for this. My one goal, and it kind of runs in line with what I was kind of saying about the previous photo, and this is a match of 4... I don't know that everyone would advertise them as such, but I would say that this is a match consisting of 4 body guys. My goal in this match, above all else, is I want to go into this match with 4 body guys and be the body guy. I want to be the best looking dude in that ring. I want to have the best rig out of the 4 of them.
Yeah.
And I am trying to do whatever I can to make that happen. And there's a lot of, for lack of a better term, egos in this match. So my goal is to make myself undeniably the best shape that I can possibly be, and I want to walk into that match and have them turn around and go, God damn. So it's going to be a cracker of a match. I cannot wait.
No, man. Same.
Much like Fringe, the cut for this and the lifting that's going into the prep for this is going insane, because I don't know what the other 3 are doing in their prep for the match. So all I can do is do absolutely everything that I can.
Yeah.
And just know that there is no possible way anyone else in that match could be working as hard as I can. And as long as I'm in that level, then I'll keep working a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be huge.
Perfect way to end the photos there, Kit. Appreciate you going through them. And it's crazy to see, obviously, where we left off with the Kit Condor up until where you are now as Kit, man. It's been an awesome transformation, and you're reaping the rewards from it. So, alright, Kit, I'd love for you now to plug your social media, events you got coming up, any merch, anything like that. Everything will be tagged in the link below, guys, but where can we find you?
Yeah, so at Facebook, it's He Is Kit, or just Kit Pro Wrestler. On Instagram, it's he_is_kit, and same on X. No merch at the moment, but there is stuff coming down the pipeline, so keep your eyes peeled for that, because that'll be all over my social media once that drops.
Nice.
July 11th at the Dompolsky Centre for Riot City Wrestling, the Fatal 4-Way for the Emerald Crown. Then on July 18th for ACW, defending this beautiful Evolve Championship against the White Rhino Redshaw. So that's everything coming up the pipeline very soon, and much bigger things for the rest of 2026.
Nice, and I know there's a Rumble on the Riot City show. Have you got a ticket in that, or you're in the Rumble, or you can't say?
It depends. In an ideal world, I'm going to be too busy celebrating my new Emerald Crown.
True.
So we'll see how we go on the night, but I mean, who's to say? I could walk out of Dompolsky Centre with the Emerald Crown and a Rumble win.
I was going to say, and a
simultaneously.
shot at the heavy, like the main title.
Yeah, I mean,
Why stop at one title?
Could be the move.
Could be the move. Beautiful, I love it. No, thank you very much, mate. Make sure you get on there, follow Kit, get tickets to the Riot City and ACW shows. This will be dropping before they've happened. So, get behind them, support Kit. But mate, thank you very much for coming back on. I really
Thank you for
appreciate
having me.
it. I look forward to what you got next.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Beers and Brawls. Another huge thank you to our guest Kit. It was awesome to have him on here and to hear about his transformation and to hear what he has next. So as always, get behind him, get behind local wrestling in your state. Give us a like, give us a follow, all that sort of stuff. And until next time, cheers.